Rules for thee, but not for me, especially applies to the climate zealots. One professor urging Americans to ditch home ownership, sure, to save the planet. One small problem, this particular professor does in fact own his own home. And of course, Senator John Kennedy couldn't let that fly.
Pretty bold. You own a home?
I do, in a flood zone.
Have you sold it?
Have I sold my home?
Yeah.
I live in my home, sir.
Oh, well, you're telling everybody else to sell theirs. You're a climate extremist, aren't you, Professor?
Certainly not, Senator.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh. Joining us now, ClimateDepot.com executive editor Marc Morano. Marc, this is like the most typical thing you can see from these guys, right? The deal is you got to sell your home because you're killing the environment. Except for me, I'm going to keep living in my home. I mean, that's the climate obsession ethos, is it not, sir?
It absolutely is. Senator Kennedy did a masterful job of exposing the absurdity of this guy telling people you can't buy a house. He also tries to cite in his article, this is the Wharton School of professor, Benjamin Keyes, cites, extreme weather. First of all, the UN says extreme weather is not increasing on one level, but on the other, he flatly admits to buying a house in a flood zone. I got word that the New York Times maybe, just maybe, having John Kerry pen an op-ed on don't fly a private jet, and they may have former President Obama right when don't buy Hawaiian oceanfront property. I don't know what the New York Times is thinking. Actually, real quickly, there's a long history of this. The New York Times has gone after homes before, single-family homes, as a result of racism, warning about the climate. UCLA professors have warned home ownership in the face of a climate emergency is a no-go. The National Housing Federation has said houses are more dangerous to the climate than cars, and we know what they want to do with cars. They want to ban them.
Of course.
And that's what the Biden. So this is a long history, and it's just delicious to watch the hypocrisy being exposed in real time at the U.S. Senate under oath. That was awesome.
You know, it's interesting, too, when we think about people who are buying houses, doing all the things they tell us not to do. It isn't meant for the elites, because otherwise he could have just sent a private letter to the Obamas and their giant mansion on a cliff, or Oprah Winfrey, or, you know, any of these other people.
That's a good point. I want to get you on this one, too, sir. Let me ask you about this, because you got lame duck Joe deciding to put the pedal to the metal on his climate agenda before Trump takes over in 32 days, announcing new, of course, emissions targets. Listen.
I'm proud that my administration is carrying out the boldest climate agenda in American history. That's why I'm proud to announce an ambitious new goal to cut greenhouse gas emissions by more than 60% by 2035.
So we got the lame duck climate overhang, but this to me seems, this is a problem, because on their way out the door, they're going to gum up the system with all these new regulations, and then it's going to be Trump's puzzle to try to undo all of this. Is it easy to undo these things that he's trying to throw in there now?
Well, yes, what he's throwing in now, it's very easy to undo. The problem is we went yin-yang. After Obama, we went to Trump, we went to Biden. But what Joe Biden's doing is just proof that the climate agenda hates us, hates Americans, hates the American way, hates everyone. I mean, they detest us. They are doubling down in the face of absurdity to do these mandates and all of these climate goals. It's all magical thinking. None of these are going to be met. Even if Biden had been reelected with record margins, it's all paperwork, accounting nonsense to make us committed to this climate agenda. And none of it is going to stick. What Donald Trump needs to do is get us out of the UN Paris Agreement by submitting it to the United States Senate. That should kill the whole UN treaty process, and then they can't get us back in to this climate agenda 4 years later, whoever the next president.
It's all about, it's a fear-based agenda. It is something that's malleable. It can be whatever they want it to be. It requires their intervention. It requires their existence. It condemns us in the process. But didn't Biden, in the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, that was the Green New Deal? That was, and he bragged about that a little later on. That's all they've been doing. So you think it's going to be easy for Trump to get us back on the right track?
Yeah, I think he needs to get rid of the EPA, the endangerment finding, which says carbon dioxide can be regulated as a pollutant. He needs to get us out of the UN process. Those two things make it harder for the next president to jump us back in. But yeah, absolutely, from day one, he can start reversing all of this nonsense. Every agency from the Pentagon, every agency in the Biden administration was a cabinet agency.
Yes.
Go through. I've joked, I would love to work. I want to work 2 weeks for the Trump administration and just abolish every climate department, every climate goal, and after 2 weeks, declare
That's
you're
key.
finished and walk away and resign from the federal government.
That's key.
That's what they need to do, is they
Yeah.
need to do this fast and rapid.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking, Mark, like, you should go work there. You know, like 2 weeks. This guy worked for 2 weeks to clear it all out, and we'll be good to go. Mark, we got to leave it there. Marc Morano, good to see you.
Thanks,
for
Mark.
being with us.